What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. We have a brand new show for you today. Me and my co host, my guy David Jackson, we are brought to you by Prediction Strike, and this is the Fight Exchange. We're talking the stock market for fighters. Who should you be buying? Who should you be selling? And we're on UFC 283, obviously, coming up this weekend. Some very exciting prospects that we can get into. David, my guy, how you doing, man?
What is up, Clint? Thank you for having me. My name is David Jackson. I'm working with Prediction Strike. Like you said, we're running the Fight Exchange. We're running longs, shorts, just interesting, stock prices with these fighters. It's such a new thing that we're kind of getting into, so it is exciting. Who knows? One day we could be the Dave Ramsey channel of MMA. You never know. You never know.
You
David
never know.
Jackson and Dave Ramsey's coming. I mean, David Jackson's coming.
I
But
love it.
yeah, so that's just kind of who I am. If you want to find me on socials, IG is at original David Jackson, Twitter at OG David Jackson, and of course you can see me breaking down some of these fights on Prediction Strikes as well. It's at Prediction Strike on all platforms.
Good stuff, man. All right. So we've got a big old card to get into. Like I mentioned, UFC Brazil, UFC 283. We got the inside knowledge here on the Prediction Strike side of things with David, and we will jump right on in, feet first. We're looking at the first fight of the night. Daniel Marcos is taking on Simon Oliveira. Now, Daniel Marcos just got added to the system. You can see here when you click the 1 year dot over here, you can see he
Right.
just got brought in $1.07. He's already up 18%. So there are
Okay.
some people out there thinking that he is investable. Now, for those of you who maybe it's your first time stumbling here onto the show, it is a brand new show. Obviously, it was previously Fighter Stonks. We're going to be the Fight Exchange moving forward. So if you watched the old one, you know what's going on. But if you're new, this is an awesome opportunity for long-term investable gambling in athletes. Now, we're focused on the UFC,
Investable. I love the word investable, by the way.
investable, but we're focused on UFC here on this particular show. But every athlete under the sun, all the major sports are right here on Prediction Strike. So if you're into NHL, NFL, basketball, whatever it be, you can find those guys on here as well and buy into them like shares as you would a stock market. And that's what's happened here with Daniel Marcos. He opened up, people already jumped on. He's up to $1.07. His opponent, Simon Oliveira, has one fight under the UFC banner, and he actually goes past a year, it looks like, going back. So I can't quite get his
Yes.
whole thing up here, but he has dropped 7% in value. That's got to be the Tony Gravely
That's
fight that knocked him down a
interesting.
notch.
Does that say 78 cents?
It does say 78 cents. So one thing that I like to point out is when the betting line is potentially different from the Prediction Strike line. This is a pretty closely lined fight here where it's
Okay.
actually switched. Simon Oliveira opened up the underdog, is now sitting the favorite, but he's cheaper on Prediction
Okay.
Strike. What are your thoughts on this one, David?
Oh, I think that's really interesting. I think Marcos, like you said, he is kind of new to the UFC. He's undefeated. Um, you know, I think I took a peek at his record yesterday. I didn't see any crazy like names or like huge wins. Obviously, Oliveira. It's funny the Oliveira thing in Brazil. It's kind of similar to the Nurmagomedov name in Dagestan because a lot of them have that last name, but they may or may not
Yep.
be related at all, or even training in the same camp.
It's like Smith over here.
Um, yeah, 100%. So, oof. I mean, my gut right now, I'm I like Oliveira. I
Okay.
I love I love seeing those undefeated and those O's because it means the guy is confident. He thinks highly of himself. Um, and obviously he's good. I mean, it doesn't matter what league you're fighting in. If you're fighting guys and you're not losing, you're pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Curtain jerker for the night, man. I feel like either of these guys could potentially be investable. We're talking Prediction Strike. Obviously, you get a little bit of a bonus if you're winning by finish. And I think this fight
sure.
does inside the distance. Whichever side of this fight you like, I think you want to try and jump in beforehand. But even if you sit tight and you want to throw a couple shekels at the loser, I think both these guys might be around for a little while.
You know what? And that's what I like about sports investing is I mean, you don't have to choose if you don't want to. You could throw a little bit on both guys. Both guys can do well in the next year. Go along on both guys. If you've done your research, they both look good. You think, and especially if a fight gets fight of the night, both guys look good, but one guy technically loses, but his stock goes up. That's a win-win.
Absolutely.
And I think this for me looks like, this first night of the fight or first fight of the night looks like something like that with me, where I might throw a little bit. That's my dog yelling at me. I might throw a little bit on either of these guys just to see, how they grow in the future. If they stalemate out after a while, take your money out, throw it on somebody else.
Yeah,
Not
sell
a
off at that point.
not a real big risk here, especially at those prices.
Exactly. Very investable for both guys. And these first couple of fights we're going to get to, that's the story for a lot of these fighters. Next up, we've got Luan Lacerda filling in here against Cody Stamann. Now, that is a name that we recognize, and it's crazy to see him so far down the roster here. And
Hmm.
Cody Stamann is sitting at $1.31. For a guy with 20 wins and 26 professional fights, that's a pretty cheap price tag. He's fought some of the biggest names in the sport, came up just short, seems to kind of have settled in that gatekeeper role. Personally, I'm not sure how long-term investable Cody Stamann is. It feels like he'll kind of float around that mid-range for a long time. He might go a
Yeah.
little up from here, but I'm not expecting a jump. So for me, Lacerda would really be the only guy that I would be looking at in this spot to invest, but he's got to get by Cody on the weekend, and that's the part I'm not sure about.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, Cody Stamann, like you said, he's a name. We know the name. We know he's consistent. We know he can grapple. He's got that classic like this stalker wrestler build.
Yep.
He's not a guy you want to mess with on the street. Period. But like you said, long term, I don't know if he gets matched up with someone who's not a strong grappler. I could see me, maybe doing a little penny stock trading there to get a little bit on there and then sell off after. But yeah, the real opportunity here is with Luan Lucinda, I think that's how you say it. And I think they do have strong grappling. They do have really good submissions. So I'm looking to invest in Luan for sure at that super low price. No one knows his name yet. That's a really great opportunity to do a little investing in this guy and see what happens, because he could get a submission first, second round. His
Agreed.
name blows up. That 40 cents. I mean, that I'm looking at my chops right now looking at that.
Yeah, man, 45 cents, super cheap buy-in price spot for him here. And he is 10-2, 10 wins by sub. If there's one thing we know about Cody, he can leave his neck out there from time to time. He got it snatched up not too long ago. So
By Saeed, right?
by Saeed. Now, obviously, different level of fighter here. Luan still got to kind of prove himself in this spot, but the path to victory is there. I think maybe a couple shares on Luan doesn't sound like such a bad idea. Next up, we've got the first ladies event of the evening. Josiane Nunez taking on Zara Farn dos Santos. Nunez, the new Nunez on the block, 9-1, absolute missiles, man, in that left hand of hers. She can hurt some people, which is rare for this weight class. And then Zara Farn, she's a real 145er. This is a big,
Oh
big
yeah.
woman. So we've got
Yes.
Farn sitting at $1. She's 0-2 in the UFC. Nunez is $1.29, and she's a minus 500 favorite. So just to kind of point out, you got to lay 5-1 on Nunez on Saturday if you're betting. She's only 29 cents more expensive over here on Prediction Strike if you want to do some investing. Do either of these women spark your attention, or do you like one of them on Saturday?
Woof. Do we know this off the top of our heads? Because this is another one of those names, Nunez. That's a bucket that holds water.
I don't think there's any relation if that's where
No
you're headed.
relation. Okay. Oh man, that is tough. I think her price is still pretty reasonable, and she has that many people that believe in her. That's for me. I would phone a friend on this one. I'm going to side with the people. I'm going to invest in her, especially at that price. I don't mind getting 5, 6, 7 shares of her and just kind of see where it goes.
Just see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's not a bad approach. I mean, for me, man, honestly, I don't think either of these women are overly investable, frankly. Nunez seems to be kind of the popular vibe of the week, the flash in the pan. She does have big power. She's too small at 145. I don't think she's going to do any damage once she gets up to the upper echelon of the division. She's fought a couple cans. Frankly, she was brought in to lose her first fight and just managed to get the win there instead. So I think she'll be around. I'm just not really expecting this price tag to go anywhere. And then Zara Farn, like I said, she's 0-2. She's older. She can in no way make 135 pounds. She is a massive, massive woman. I think they're going to close the doors on the 145-pound division. I know we're supposed to be encouraging people to, get in on Prediction Strike and invest their money, but I think there's better spots. I don't think you really need to be in on either of these women going forward, frankly.
Definitely not necessary. I do like the spunk in Nunez. That's the
That's fair.
only interesting thing, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there.
That's Farn, you could say. No, okay, that
So,
was a bad joke. I'm gonna
we'll
move
take it.
on.
Hey, I'll take it.
Got to flex my dad jokes on the show every now and again.
Yeah, get it in.
Next up, Warley Alves taking on Nicholas Dalby. Alves is 14-5, and honestly, he's a guy that keeps on surprising me with his age. I keep thinking he's like 36, 37. He's only 32. Dalby, on the other hand, knocking on the door of 40, is 24-1. And Dalby is the more expensive of the two fighters. Man, I'm picking Warley Alves to win on Saturday. And sheerly just based on age and their previous performances, like Dalby's been in the UFC once before, already got cut. I don't think he's going to do much more except alternate wins and losses for the next couple of years. I don't expect a big pop in his price tag. Alves is the guy that if he's got any type of legs or skill whatsoever, maybe he can increase this number. A lot of new fighters are brought in around that dollar mark. If anything, like maybe he can get up to $1.50 or $2 before it's all said and done. He's the side I like here.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one too, man. The same thing, Nicholas Dalby. That age is hard to bet on long. I'm a guy. I like to find the fire in the guys. Especially early on in their careers, and
Yeah.
I like to go long. I'm not a huge short trader, so it's hard for me to see a lot of like great value in Nicholas Dalby. I know Onyx is
dog's barking though.
Onyx is I think either in full agreement or full disagreement. What is that? He agrees. So I'm gonna give it Warley Alves. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Warley Alves on a season of The Ultimate Fighter?
He was. That
so
yeah,
name,
he's also the only guy to choke out America's champion. Colby Covington. He's the guy that submitted him in the first round.
That's him. Yes. Oh my God. Wow. That is insane. And I don't know why. I'm just so surprised that he's only 32. It just seems kind of young for he's just got a good amount of history to be 32 years old.
Absolutely.
So I feel even stronger about this now at 88 cents. Yeah, I don't mind going long on Warley. I'll go short on Warley.
Good deal. We like long and short options on Warley Alves, especially coming up here on Saturday. I like it. Next up, one of the most popular names in the sport right now, Terrence T-Rex McKinney. He is welcoming his opponent, Ismail Bonfim, to the octagon. Bonfim is just 94 cents, just shy of that dollar mark. Terrence is up 16% since he made it into the UFC. We can see some of his up and down here. There's a big sell-off, it looks like, at one point, but he's creeping his way back up. $1.13. Man, I think this is another one where I can see investable opportunities in both sides. I mean, cards on the table. I bet Bonfim in this spot on Saturday. So just straight up money line.
Did.
I did. I think Bonfim can pull the upset in this spot over T-Rex. So
I think you're a madman.
I might
madman.
I might.
I think people jumped ship early with Terrence McKinney. He went up against Drew Dober. Drew Dober is a beast, man.
He is.
Drew Dober lasted a little bit longer than against Islam Makhachev than I thought he would. Drew Dober is game. He's a fighter. He almost got taken out by Terrence, within moments of the fight starting,
Yeah.
and was able to come back and pull it off. I think people jumped ship a little early on Terrence. I'm still big on Terrence. I think he's going to come and tear it up. And at that price, I would encourage people to definitely go in on Terrence McKinney. Even if he were to lose this fight, the UFC loves him. He's an exciting fighter. He's going to get put in cool opportunities. And I just see his stock just going up.
Okay, so David, we disagree on Saturday. I think he's going to lose on Saturday, but what we agree on is the long-term prospect of Terrence McKinney. I absolutely agree with you. I think he's a young kid. The UFC loves him. He's got a good personality. The fan base is only growing. And I do think once he makes some adjustments, he's going to be dangerous moving forward. I'm just afraid he hasn't quite learned his lesson just yet. We'll find out on
Is
Saturday.
there
But
something? Is there something about Ismail Bonfim that that I don't know?
For me, I think it's just his ability to counter. He's a really good counter boxer. And what we've seen so far from T Rex is that he's not the same guy when he gets tired. He goes hard in that first round. And if he can't get you out of there, he slows down and he's still got some holes in his game. He's one of these young, explosive athletes that he hasn't patched the holes in his MMA game because his athleticism has kind of made up the difference. But when he gets these more long in the tooth fighters, these guys with more experience, Drew Dober was a perfect example. If they can extend him just a little bit, he's not the same guy in round 2. He's not the same guy in round 3. And like I said, I think he's going to be deadly once he sorts that out. I'm kind of rolling the dice on the fact that he hasn't patched that hole up just yet on Saturday. Could be stepping in it. But either way, I think long-term, Terrence McKinney is definitely a good investment.
Totally. And for me too, it's because I hold a lot of stock in Drew Dober.
Mhm.
I that loss didn't it was a blip in the bucket for me for
I hear you.
Terrence. He still almost pulled out the win, and let's not forget, Terrence does have that wrestling. He is explosive puncher,
Mhm.
but dude can wrestle too.
It's very true. It's very true. Hey, this is not like my 10-unit max bet of the week. I'm telling you to go, pull the mortgage out, sell your car, and put it on this kid. I'm just a little taste, just a little poke. We'll
All
see.
right, let the record show. This is our first fight. I'm gonna say our first fight betting against each other for sure.
All right, first disagreement on the show. Y'all witnessed it live. It's good times over here. All right, man. So next up, we are looking at Jailton Almeida, and you know
Woof.
what's funny?
Yeesh.
Shamil Abdurakhimov, man. Look at this line. Look at this straight down trend here. I mean, I don't even know how he's $2.23 to begin with, frankly. Like, this guy is almost 40 years old. He's a legend of the sport. He's a big name. That's all fine and dandy. Don't put your money anywhere near Shamil Abdurakhimov
Mm-mm.
because, first off, I don't think he's going to win tomorrow or on Saturday.
Oh no.
Um, and then I don't even know who he beats beyond that. He might be hanging it up soon. There's a couple of people on this card that might be going that way as well, but I don't see any
Yeah.
point in putting a penny anywhere near Shamil. But $2.48 on Jailton, who's starting to look like a guy who may challenge for a title, a little pricey, but I don't know that that's a bad thing in this spot. What about you, David?
Um, I don't mind that. I mean, I've seen him fight enough times to know that this is a scary man. I know he's kind of hopping around between heavyweight and light heavyweight. Because I think he fought like what's his name, Jake Collier at heavyweight maybe,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and just dismantled. I mean, he's dismantling whatever you
Parker
put in
Porter, I
front of
think he
him.
fought last time out.
Parker Porter, yeah, yeah. I think that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, dude is a beast at either weight class. I certainly wouldn't want to step up against him. Even if you did have a big name, like this guy does not care what number you have in your name, what your name is. Like he's coming to beat you up or choke you out.
That is what he seems to do. It's that ground game, man. People just can't handle it, and he moves like a 170 pounder up at 265. It's absolutely insane.
I
We
could actually see him like he kind of reminds me of a little bit more of a kind of reckless version of Cyril Gane that has grappling. He's just that baby face, like super superhero athleticism kind of guy.
I hear you. Yeah. No, that he definitely does strike me as that type. And if you look at his photos, man, I mean, he looks filthy when he cuts down to 205. There's not an ounce of fat on that man, but he's like, I can trash these heavyweights and get an easy paycheck. Why bother cutting? Like, I can't say I blame him if he's,
Right.
round one pounding these guys out
Hey,
without
if
all
you
the
can get
extra
a
effort.
free workout and a paycheck, take that.
Exactly. Any day, all day. All
And
right. So
yeah, we're definitely, my position would be long on Jailton Almeida. I think he's definitely going to
agreed.
get some great opportunities, especially with his fighting style. He's going to be in there. He's going to be in
Right
there.
after our first agreement, man, we're right back on track.
Boom.
Our first disagreement, we're gonna agree on Jailton Almeida. Next fight up is the brother Gabriel Bonfim, who again, very
Oh,
interestingly, is immediately getting some investment. The moment he opened, he pipped up 14%. I always take note when that happens. Somebody somewhere likes him right out the gate. Taking on Munir Lazez, somebody who did something a little similarly. Now, Lazez has been around for a little bit. We've seen him in a couple of fights. I actually very much respect the skill set of Lazez. My only
mhm.
issue as far as like long-term investable opportunities with Munir is he's 35. We start to see fighters slow down a little bit. He's not on the fast track to a title. So I'm not sure how much return or bang for your buck you're going to get on Lazez in the near future. Bonfim, on the other hand, and by the way, let me just lead with, even though Bonfim is 13-0 undefeated, I think Lazez is going to give him a run for his money on Saturday. I think this is going to be a very competitive fight, but he's only 25. That's the side I like. I would be going Bonfim here
Mhm.
for a long-term investment.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record here. I definitely agree with you on that. I I do like his O's. I know Lazez had a couple stumbles. And if I'm not mistaken, that Lazez is the guy that I think like Dana White's son saw him training somewhere and like got his dad to sign him or got Dana
Oh,
to
that's
sign
this
him.
guy.
I think that's yeah, I think that's Lazez.
I remember the story. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that was Lazez. Okay.
Yeah. So for whatever that's worth. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go Bonfim on here. Sounds like him and his brother got something good going, and I like the O next to this guy's name. I feel pretty good about that. And like you said, he's young, pretty reasonable price. Definitely, I think it just went up. Yeah, I love that opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, money pouring in on Bonfim as we speak here. So let's definitely look at taking a bite here on Bonfim. He's minus 175, I believe, on the money line on Saturday. So he is expected to get the dub for anybody wondering. The next fight we're going to talk to you about is Thiago Moises, who, again, just baffling. 93 cents. This guy's been in the UFC now for like 6 years, and he's fought some big names. It's been a little up and down, but he's another one that's super young. Like, even though we've seen him around forever, I think he's like 29
Mm-hmm.
years old. 27. Geez, I even overshot. He's 27
Wow.
years old.
Wow.
So regardless of the outcome on Saturday, I think Thiago's investable. He's training at American Top Team. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic team to be at. He's a BJJ black belt. Dad was a professional boxer. Like, he's got it all. And I think if he puts together, he's going to be dangerous down the stretch. Costa, on the other hand, I mean, this guy's being brought in on short notice because the fight fell apart. Like, props to him. He trains at Shoot the Box. That's a big time gym over there, and
Great
that's all
gym.
fine and dandy. But I'm sorry, what was that?
I said great gym.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a solid gym. It's just I don't know about him. He's 19-5, and it seems like not a whole lot of interest in him moving forward. The names he's losing to aren't exceptionally large names. I mean, good records, 10-1, 7-1, 8-2. So maybe he's a little better than we're giving him credit for, but I'm not sure he's UFC ready or long for the UFC, even if
Mm-hmm.
he is. So
Could you say the first name for me again?
I didn't even try. I think it's Milqueza. I have no idea if that's
I tried to
accurate.
say it in the car earlier, and yeah, it sounded like I sneezed.
Yeah. And I'm sure
But
I'm wrong too. Like, there's got to be like a Brazilian R in there somewhere that I'm missing. I don't know.
yeah. Usually, the guys with tough names are really tough fighters too. So definitely got to
True.
be careful there. But man, Moises, Tiago, like that. This guy is a beast. He's training at American Top Team, and I think Onyx likes Thiago. And you're gonna hear me say this a lot. If you've faced Islam and you've lived to tell the tale, I have faith in you. Like, you've seen the best fighter that the weight class has to offer. You felt his strength. I think he even got a trip or a takedown on Islam, and
And it went to round 4.
And it went to round 4. Like, this guy went round 3, over 3 rounds with Islam Makhachev.
The champ didn't even do that.
I mean, say less. And at less than $1 per share. Dude, this is awesome. If whoever's watching this, like, there are some gems on here, and this is like the jackpot. Thiago Moises. Oh my God.
Yep.
And he's 27. Let's go.
That's the move. That is absolutely the move. And he's a minus, 300, 400 favorite on Saturday. So guys, like, if this is the spot. Every week there is a spot where you can get some serious investment when compared to the betting line. 93 cents. Thiago Moises is probably your spot for UFC 283. And remember, this is the Fight Exchange. We're going to be coming around to show you this stuff pretty much for every single UFC pay-per-view card. And then it sounds like bi-weekly, so we'll be doing a couple of the fight nights here and there. But use deposit code FE for Fight Exchange. If you want to make an account here on Prediction Strike, I believe you'll get a free fighter stock when you do that on your deposit. So get in here. Get you some Thiago Moises. The next fight we want to talk to you about is going to be Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. He's taking on... What's that?
I said Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rodriguez. You got to get the Brazilian H and the R in there. It's tricky.
That's right.
Taking on Bruno Ferreira. This guy is 9-0, undefeated, calls himself the Hulk, and he's only 50 cents. David, I've been struggling with this one because...
What's your struggle? Tell me more.
Hobo. Man, I don't know if I can trust Hobocop. Like, he is... He's a monster, okay? He's huge. He looks like he's been chiseled out of stone. He's a Greek god with that body, but he doesn't fight smart. He steps in the pocket and he slugs it out with every single person he fights. I get that he's there for the guts and the glory, and it's panned out more than not for him, but I cannot get the mental image out of my head of diabetic Jordan Williams knocking him clean out in the first round of the Contender Series. Like, that has just stuck with me. So yes, he should beat this short notice Brazilian monster who's 2 feet shorter than him on Saturday. But man, watching Bruno Ferreira's regional scene tape, he just swings bungalows, man. He dips his head and it's all overhands. And if he gets on top of people, it is over. The punishment for the ground and pound that he rains down, you don't even have a second to think down there, and you're either unconscious or you're tapping because he grabs your neck. He could be one of these guys with a very Brazilian-y padded record, so I'm not sure that I want to invest in him, but I'm a little scared of putting my money on Gregory Rodriguez.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully I can inspire a little more confidence in you. I definitely feel similar to you about Rodriguez, but he has earned my faith back. He's earned my trust. His last, I think, 2 or 3 fights, like, the dude does not have a quit button. He got his face knocked off his body in his last fight and still won. And then the fight before that, he was fighting another knockout guy. I forget his name. It's like Chico or
So he was fighting Chidi Njokuani.
Chidi. Yes, that guy. Another scary knockout dude. And I want to say I think he handled him. I think he ended up taking him down, getting on top, and kind of just smothering that guy out.
It was scary for a minute, but yeah, round 2, he pulled it off.
So he's earned his faith back. Oh, here comes Onyx with a strong opinion on Rodriguez again. We're in full agreements here. I hope I can inspire a little bit more confidence in you there. If he was in the $2 range, I think I would feel exactly the same as you. But I think since he's still in the $1 range, I feel pretty good about Rodriguez.
Okay, you've inspired some faith on this side of things. I'm coming around, and I'm I'm loving that Onyx is taking over the show.
Yeah. Onyx is a big fan of Rodriguez.
I'll agree.
But
Okay, since you and Onyx are lining up, I'll agree with you here. Interesting case up next. Another name that's incredibly weird to pronounce. It's Ihor, I believe. Ihor Potera taking on the legend himself, Mauricio Shogun Hua. And guys, I would love to click over and show you Shogun's graph and the ups and downs that it has taken. Sadly, the legend is hanging it up on Saturday. He no longer has a profile active here on Prediction Strike for me to show you. So you can't invest in Shogun just one last time for old time's sake. You can only choose to invest in his opponent, who is going to have a massive height and reach advantage, as well as being, 15 years his younger, which we see in MMA is a massive, massive advantage. Man, skill for skill. I mean, you rewind the clock even just 2 years, and I think Shogun can probably take this kid. But he's so old now. I mean, I don't know that I want to invest in Portera at all. I know he just recently moved and he got like a legitimate gym, but I'm not sure that he isn't kind of a Russian fraud that might stick around for 1 or 2 fights in the UFC. I'm just going to stay clear away from this one. Do you have any confidence or an opinion on this one either way?
I think Shogun. I think he does have one left in the tank.
Oh.
I was gonna say obviously you can't go long on him, but another cheesy joke. But his last fight was against
OSP.
Oven Sepru.
Yep.
And he still looked somewhat calculated against him. Like it looked like he had at least somewhat of a clear head. I think he wants to go. He's like, this is the last of the Mohicans of the pride fighting, like just that class of fighters, which is kind of crazy to think about. This is like we're gonna watch the turn of a new era this Saturday, which is pretty cool. I do think that Shogun, and maybe this is just my 14-year-old coming out, my heart, but I feel like Shogun is going to represent that class, this era that we kind of came in on, and I think he's going to get one more in. I think he's going to win it. So obviously I don't think I'm betting on his opponent, or I don't think I'm investing or betting in his opponent.
I feel you. Yeah, I'll root for you with my heart that Shogun has one last effort in him for Saturday, because man, it's hard to watch these legends go out on their shields sometimes. Like what they did to Frankie Edgar was dirty. So I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right.
That was criminal.
It was awful. It's the hurt business, man. We see it way too often. So all right, we're all team Shogun here. Let's see what happens on Saturday. Definitely not putting my money on Ihor, but we will talk about a couple of guys that may be interesting. Paul Craig, the Bear Jew himself.
Well, Craig,
$2.33 taking on Johnny Walker. Not that one, the Brazilian Johnny Walker, who is $2.23. So they're right around the same price tag. And I think both these guys, we were very excited about them both at one point. Big finishers. They fought some high-level guys. Paul Craig submitted Ankalaev. A lot of people thought Walker was the guy to dethrone John Jones. And, both of them getting big finishes have kind of driven their price tags up. And now everyone's kind of mellowed a little bit on these guys. They're both a little bit older. Neither of them have great chins. Obviously, the finishing ability is still there for both of them. But, Johnny is 2-4 in his last 6, and Paul Craig is 2-2 in his last 4. So it's an interesting situation that we get ourselves into here. Do you long or short on either of these guys?
I was gonna say, so Johnny Walker still kind of reminds me. I think my take on Johnny Walker, I think, is similar to your take on Terrence McKinney.
Okay.
I still don't think Johnny Walker has learned his lesson. I think he did impress me in his last fight. I was like, oh, okay, like he learned something, but he's still so like big and athletic, and he's got that young ego. I do think he still leans on that a little bit, Paul Craig, the Bear Jew, I think I'm still impressed that he submitted Ankalaev because
Yeah,
I don't think that dude knows how to spell the word quit.
that aged real
Um,
well.
real well. Yeah, I think Paul Craig gets this done. What's Paul Craig's stock price right now?
So what we are looking at with Paul Craig is $2.33. He's up 3%.
Pretty comparable.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel pretty good about Paul Craig. I'm investing in him for sure. Uh, it's hard for me to invest in Johnny Walker. He's so up and down.
Agreed.
And I really Paul Craig. I believe in his skills. Paul Craig can get
Okay.
it done for sure, and he's
All
a
right.
tough dude.
So when I broke this fight down earlier in the week, I'm on the other side. I picked Johnny Walker, but I completely agree with
Okay.
you about him being untrustworthy. I'm not betting him. I'm
Okay.
just saying I think he's going to win. It's not a confident pick. I'm not going to stick my flag in the sand or anything. Um, but
Totally
I
fair.
don't think I'm going to invest in either of these guys,
When I
really.
mean, when, to be fair, when this fight popped up, my first thoughts were, I really didn't have a strong opinion on either side. It was
Yeah.
interesting matchup. But it's just like, oh wow, like I had never even like thought about pairing those two up.
Right? It's the
So I'm
meme fight of the week, man. This
yeah,
thing could end round 1 sub, round 1 knockout. They could drag it 15. It could be I just need a bowl of popcorn for this one. I got to see what happens.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
All right. Next up, we're getting down to the good stuff here, man. We are talking about Jessica Andrade, who is taking on a personal fan favorite of mine, Lucky Lauren Murphy, who is sitting at $4.65. She challenged for a title back in the day, and that makes some sense, but she's another one of these aged and withered veterans. She's 39 years old, which in women's MMA is almost unheard of. There's only a few of them. And then
39. She's
Andrade,
35.
she's 39.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Like, I want to look like that when I'm 39.
Absolutely.
Andrade, on the other hand, though, she's another one of these ones that's been around forever, man. She is 23 and 9 and 31 years old. So even though we imagine her being a legend of the sport, been around forever, she's only 31. She's still young enough to make improvements. She's still nuking people. She submitted freaking Amanda Lemos with that standing, arm triangle choke last time out.
Brutal,
She
yeah.
still feels like championship caliber to me. Now, when you go through Prediction Strike, a lot of the other athletes, NFL, NBA, all that stuff, there's some very high price stocks out there. MMA, $5 and $6 is right around the top. Like right
That's
now, that's where
that's
we're at.
pretty high, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty high for the market on the UFC fighters. So I don't know how much I want to buy on Andrade sitting at the $5.52 mark. But man, if she just keeps doing what she's doing, she might grind her way up to that 650. If she can get her hands back on that belt, if she gets one or two finishes along the way, you could squeeze just a little bit of juice out of Jessica Andrade. It's possible, but I
It
can't put my money on Lauren Murphy.
No, I can't invest any money. Really on either of them, I'd say in this spot for what you just kind of outlined. I think off the top of my head, I want to say Izzy, might have gotten to like the $8 range at some point, and that was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, there's this, like you said, there might be a little bit left there, but I think this is gonna be another popcorn fight for me.
Okay. And that's fair, man. There's better spots. We pointed out a couple of them already. So we can move along from that
Hey,
one.
we're
Gilbert,
here. We're here with the truth.
that's true. That's true. We'll tell you guys where it's at. Gilbert Durino Burns, a little bit of a discount on my guy here. I'm a big Gilbert Burns fan. $4.04, taking on Neil Magny, who is a stark discount from that. $2.84. And it does feel like one of those fights where we've got a contender versus a guy on the outside looking in. I love
Mhm.
Neil Magny, man. He's one of my favorite fighters to bet. He just knows how to win close fights. He just grinds on his opponents and he comes through as an underdog. I can't pick him over Gilbert Burns on Saturday. I've tried.
Mm.
I'm trying to make an argument for him. I just can't do it. And I don't know if I like the price tag on Gilbert either.
No, I mean, this fight kind of reminds you of, throwing a greyhound in the ring with a pit bull. It's just like,
Oh,
it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. I think, Neil Magny is a gamer. I love that, he's just down for whoever. He was the first guy to raise his hand against Chimaev. Like, he just wants to
mhm.
get in there, scrap, test himself. He's a great dude. He's great on the mic. I think he represents like some charities and Haiti, and like he's just a really really cool dude, and he uses his platform really well, which I just really respect.
Mhm.
Um, but my heart wants him to pull through and just like make it into those top caliber kind of spots. But man, Gilbert Burns, you can't ignore that dude. His toughness is next level. He made Chimaev think twice. He made all of us think twice about Chimaev.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Neil's gonna have anything for him, but I welcome the surprise if he can.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more, man. When you make Chimaev look human, that says something. And he's been around, fought everybody. He's got that submission upside too, and we've seen Neil Magny struggle with that. So I think you're on the right track there. I like Gilbert as a bounce back, but again, I don't really like him as a long term investment on Prediction Strike, just because of that high price tag and the fact that he's getting a little bit older, and we've seen what happens when he gets that
Yeah.
title shot.
If
I
if
don't think he's
Gilbert
hitting $6.
if Gilbert gets down into the $3 range, um, you'll see some investment action from this guy.
That's when
But
we buy the dip.
at four, yeah, at four and above, then I it's just like the last fight. It's not a whole lot of juice left in that lemon. I don't
Agreed.
want to call him a
Agreed.
lemon. Orange. Lemons are a negative. He's definitely not a lemon. This guy's a beast.
There you go. There you go. No, I like it, man, and I think that's a good way for people to approach this moving forward. Find that price tag where you think it's fair. If it's not going to go much lower than that, jump on in. All right, everybody. Just a reminder: this show is brought to you by Prediction Strike. This is the Fight Exchange. I am joined by my man David Jackson and his boy Onyx. We're talking UFC 283. This is the co-main event. Davison, the God of War Figueiredo, your current seated champion, who's at $5.78, up a snappy 21%, taking on my guy, one of my favorite stories in all of mixed martial arts, Brandon Moreno, $4.97, just a little bit cheaper. And your interim champion. We got 2 belts going into the cage on this fight. Only 1 belt leaves. David, I just want to hear your thoughts, man. What do you think about the fight? And if you've got an opinion on investment opportunities or who's winning, let me know.
Juicy, juicy, juicy drama right here, man. I've been kind of licking my chops at this fight, just at the drama alone. If you have blood running through your veins, you watch MMA, you know that Brandon Moreno, no longer training with his longtime coach, James Krause, heading into a championship fight, a quadrilogy fight. A dude he knows extremely well in the cage. Um, I like Brandon Moreno in this fight. He is such a level-headed, smart dude. I heard him on an interview. I think last week or the week before. I heard his take on the whole James Krause thing. The
Mhm.
dude wasn't even phased. He was like, it sucks, man. I'm focused on this fight. It
Yep.
just had such a positive just demeanor. He didn't seem super emotional about anything. He's just zoned in. I think he knows what he's doing. He knows Davison really well. It's going to be another tough fight. But, Brandon's got some tricks up his sleeve, and I think he's going to pull them out. I think he's going to get the win. And I do think there is some juice to squeeze left in Brandon Moreno. I wouldn't be mad at anyone, definitely wants to go in on some shares on Brandon. I'll say that's pretty safe. Pretty safe investment. What's your take on
Okay.
that?
Yeah, you know what, man? I couldn't agree more. We've gone back and forth a couple of times on a few fights. I'm Team Moreno for this one as well. He's the younger of the 2 fighters. We know that Davison's cut to 125 isn't getting any easier. He's getting older. He's living the high life. Man, they tried to run this thing back a couple months ago, and Davison was like, nah, I'm too hurt. I can't pull that off. So Moreno went out and fought Kai Kara France, because
Dude.
Figueredo wasn't stepping up. So I'm like, this tells me everything I need to hear. The younger, fresher guy, more capable of making adjustments, and he's hungry to put a stamp on this thing. He was talking about going out there and finishing Davison Figueredo, and frankly, man, I believe him. I think he's more than capable of it. He almost got him out of there in their third fight a couple times, had him stumbled and just didn't quite follow up on those shots where he had Davison hurt. I think he goes for broke on Saturday. I think he gets the finish. And kind of like you said, I do think that there's some juice left to squeeze. And once Brandon Moreno's got that belt around his waist, if Davison's moving up to 135, he's got a couple contenders, but I don't know that there's anybody that's going to dethrone him right away. We might get a little bit of value out of this number.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let's go. Love to hear that, especially on a big fight like the co-main event. Let's see where we land though on the main event here. The 43-year-old former champion Glover Teixeira, second to Brandon Moreno, maybe my favorite story in MMA as far as, becoming a champion later in life.
Oh yeah.
Real good, feel good, comeback type of story for Glover. Lost his belt in excruciating fashion. Man, I had the under 4.5 on that Glover versus Jiri fight, and it ended at like the 4-minute, the 3-minute mark of the 5th round. I was in shambles. That it was a parlay that would have paid like $5,000 that all came down to the under, and I missed it by 40 seconds or something. I was not a happy camper that night. He's taking
Wow.
on Jamal Hill, my personal favorite alumni of the Dana White Contender Series. And man, I have been screaming Jamal Hill's name from the rooftops ever since he made it to the UFC.
He's
I
grown on
love
me.
this guy.
He has grown on me, man.
I love this guy. It's the hand speed. It's the fact that he's got cardio and pace like a 155er up at 205. Like, I think he's going to be a handful for a lot of guys. And I've been saying that he's the answer to Magomed Ankalaev for a long time. Didn't think he was going to be fighting Glover, but here we are. I'm Team Jamal Hill, man. What about you? What are you doing with the main event on Saturday?
Look, I'm just going to start by saying, like, Jamal Hill won me over a couple different times. I love his smoothness in the octagon. I love that he is like he's so calm. His demeanor is cool. He doesn't look like this freak athlete. So I think he kind of people have sort of what is it? Quick memory, or they forget really easily that, like, Jamal Hill, I know he doesn't look like a freak athlete, but dude comes in there and just sweeps your lights out. Like what he did to Johnny Walker was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Really impressive dude. He come back from a loss to, I think, Paul Craig, who kind of broke his arm a little bit.
Got his arm snapped.
Yeah, and the fact that he came back from that and just started smoking dudes out, it was just like impressive. The dude is impressive. I think if you put him up against anyone else in the top 5, he smokes them out. I do think Glover is the kryptonite to Jamal Hill. I'm not going to lie to you. That dude is a beast grappler. He's strong. He's training with Alex Pereira, who is the middleweight champ, who could be fighting at 205.
That dude's so big.
Probably the best stand-up fighter at the 185, 205, even heavyweight weight class. He's training with that dude every day, and their little, cabin in Connecticut, wherever they're training, day in, day out. I don't think Jamal Hill is going to have anything for Glover, and Glover's going to take him down and pound him out.
Wow. All right. So we saved the boxing gloves for the main event here, folks. I am all team Jamal Hill. David is convinced the old man Glover Teixeira is going to get his belt back on Saturday.
Don't get me wrong. I'm still team Jamal. Just like, I believe in that guy, just not against Glover Teixeira.
Okay. Long term then.
Long term, that's my take. Long term, Jamal Hill all the way.
So if Glover wins on Saturday, then are you just buying the dip? Is that how that works?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. that would be it's actually a win-win. So, maybe I throw some money on Glover to win, and then whatever money I win, I'm investing in Jamal Hill because I know
There you
he's
go.
going to
Just
come back
roll it
up.
over. I love it.
Boom, boom, pop. That's my
I
play
love
there.
it. Now, since you're Team Glover, though, let's leave the people on a good solid note here. He's 43 years old. His stock is at $4. Do you think you ride him for a while? Is this a pump and dump? Or are you buying Glover just for Saturday and then getting out of Dodge? Or do you think he sticks around, defends his belt? Can he beat, the rest of the top five one more time? What are you doing if you've got stocks on Glover after Saturday?
If you get stocks on Glover after Saturday, I would sell him out. I would
Okay.
sell him out. I do think he defends. I think he can beat everyone else in the division. Um, but after he wins on Saturday, I don't see his stock other than that spike on Saturday or Sunday, whenever that it goes up. I
Mhm.
don't see it going much further past that. So once he gets that win, I think, I think you dump, kind of reinvest your money, and probably a younger fighter, maybe Terrence
Okay.
McKinney. Who knows? I don't know.
There you go. Dump Glover and buy all in on Terrence McKinney after Saturday.
You heard it
David,
first right here.
you're spreading the news, man. All right, everybody. That was the first episode of Fight Exchange. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I am Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast. That's David Jackson from Prediction Strike. We will see you guys right back here in a couple weeks to break down a couple more fighters. Remember, deposit on Prediction Strike. Use promo code FE for a free fighter stock when you do. And hope you guys make some money on Saturday.
Get in on it. This is groundbreaking stuff, guys. You don't have to bet anymore. Let's
That's right.
spread that money out.
We'll make you long term right here with the Dave Ramsey of MMA betting. Let's go.